Everybody hear me?
Yes, Your Honor. Everybody's been given their advice of rights and their notice to appear.
Wonderful. Can I see Amber Rose Barnes?
Step right up. That's
Okay, you're Amber Rose Barnes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Amber Rose Barnes. Counsel appearance, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant who's appearing from Lansing Police Department for the purposes of arraignment only.
Thank you. Ms. Barnes, today's the date scheduled for arraignment. I do have a misdemeanor complaint here. The complaint alleges that on or about May 21st, 2022, at the area of 1717 Todd Avenue, which is in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of aggravated assault. It alleges that you did make an assault without being armed with a weapon upon a Tiffany Garcia and did inflict a serious or aggravated injury upon said person, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder. This is contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.81A. Restitution may be ordered as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to another individual. This is a misdemeanor. The maximum penalty is 1 year and or $1,000 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. In the alternative, there is a count 2, and that alleges that you committed the act of assault or assault and battery, and that you did make an assault or an assault and battery upon the following person, that being Tiffany Garcia, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.811. Again, restitution may be ordered as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to another individual. That is a misdemeanor. The maximum penalty is 93 days and or $500 in fines. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. You understand the charge and the maximum penalty associated with the charge, ma'am?
Yes.
You have the right to be represented by counsel, and you have representation today by the Office of the Public Defender for the purposes of your arraignment only. However, if you are indigent or you're not able to hire your own attorney, you can request to have a court-appointed counsel to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand your rights as it relates to an attorney?
Yes.
Okay, so you have the right to have an attorney with you at each stage of the criminal prosecution, and you also have the right to have an attorney with you if you're questioned or interrogated as part of this prosecution. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, is she requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Barnes, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and anything that you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You have the right to plead not guilty, and you have the right to stand mute and proceed with the prosecution. You have the right to have a trial in this matter. At the time of trial, you have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge being brought against you. They have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to be presumed innocent at trial and not have silence, and not waive your right to silence or have silence be used to prove or implicate your guilt. You have the right also, ma'am, to question or cross-examine any of the witnesses the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence you believe would further a defense to the charge. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I'm reading your lips.
Okay, well, I don't want you to read my lips. I want you to be able to hear me. Is there
I
a
can
reason why
hear
you can't
you
hear
just-
me?
Yeah, I can hear you just a little. I'm trying.
Okay, is anyone else in the jail having an issue hearing me?
no, Your Honor. She's slightly hearing impaired.
Okay, okay, sounds good. If that's an issue, ma'am, we can try to bring you up to the courtroom, or I'll have to set the arraignment to tomorrow. I don't want you to miss out on hearing your rights.
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you have any questions about any of the rights that I just stated?
Hey,
No,
Okay. You have the right to have a preliminary examination on count one. You have the right to have that preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date. At the time of your preliminary examination, you have the right to have the prosecution establish their burden of probable cause. So they have to establish that there is sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause to charge you with the crime. Do you understand that?
yes,
Okay, you're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before Judge Stacia Buchanan on June 3rd, 2022 at 8:30 in the morning. That's via Zoom. And then you have a preliminary examination before Judge Buchanan on June 10th, 2022. And that's going to be at 8:30 in the morning, but it's going to be in person, okay?
okay. Yes, I'm sorry.
No problem. Do you have any questions at this time?
No,
Okay, you also have the right to be considered for pretrial release from the jail, and we'll discuss bond in just a moment. For the purposes of her arraignment, how does she want to plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Okay, the court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Are you currently employed?
no, I get disability.
What's your home address?
5712 Orchard Court, Lansing, Michigan, 48911.
What's your phone number?
517-303-8073.
Are you currently on probation or parole?
No,
Okay, you can address bond counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Barnes reports that she has lived at the Orchard Court address for a little over a year. She is from Lansing. She's got family in the area. She resides with 4 children, 2 of which are her own, a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old, but she's also been fostering for the last 3 months, an 11-year-old and a 10-year-old. And she takes care of them full time. She is getting quite a lot of public benefits, Medicaid, food assistance, housing assistance. So with her disability, she is on a fixed income. She reports the last time she was in trouble was around 2015 or 2016. It was in her memory was a simple assault and battery that she paid a fine on, but she reported no felony conviction. So for those reasons, Your Honor, I would request a personal or cognizance bond. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, the 2015 ordinance violation out of 54B, it looks like it was dismissed, so maybe they offered her a civil infraction of some sort, but I don't see anything else on her record that would reflect the assault of history. Ma'am, have you missed court in the past?
I'm sorry.
Have you missed court before?
No,
Okay, I'm going to grant the request for personal recognizance bond. Bond will be set in the amount of $500 personal recognizance. There will be a no contact order, ma'am. You're not to have contact directly or indirectly with the alleged victim, Tiffany Garcia. Do you understand that?
Yes,
You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever she is. Do you understand that?
yes,
You're not to purchase or possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to harass, intimidate, beat, molest, wound, stalk, threaten, or engage in other conduct that would place any of the following persons or a child of the following persons in reasonable fear of bodily injury. That being a spouse, former spouse, individual with whom you have a child in common, a resident or former resident of your household, and Tiffany Garcia. Do you understand that?
yes,
Also, while out on bond, you need to make sure that you report to all of your future court dates, report on time. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. Do you understand that?
yes,
You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours and you'll be reporting to them weekly, okay?
yes.
Do you have any questions or concerns about the no contact order or any other of the bond conditions?
No,
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Judge, thank you.
You're all set, ma'am.
thank you.
Christasia Castillo. Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Christasia Castillo. Counsel appearance, please.
Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant who is appearing from Lansing Police Department for the purposes of arraignment only.
Thank you, Ms. Castillo. Can you hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am, today's the date that's set for an arraignment. I have here a felony complaint. The complaint alleges that on or about May 21st, 2022, at the area of 2216 South Cedar Street, which is in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of police officer assaulting, resisting, or obstructing. It alleges that you did assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger Officer Tara Brandman and or Officer Christy Childs, a police officer of the Lansing Police Department, that the defendant knew or had reason to know was performing his or her duties contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.81D. That's a felony, ma'am. The maximum penalty is a sentence of up to 2 years and or $2,000 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement or under MCL 750.816 or another violation arising from the same transaction. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty there, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, so you have the right to be represented by counsel. You have Ms. Donnelly with you here today for the purposes of your arraignment only. But you have the right to have an attorney to represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution. If you are indigent or unable to afford legal counsel, you can apply to have court-appointed counsel to represent you at the expense of the public, okay?
Okay.
So you did? Or I didn't hear what you said.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, are you requesting court-appointed counsel, ma'am?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you requesting court-appointed counsel on this matter?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Ms. Castillo, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You have the right to plead not guilty, and then you have the right to stand mute. If you stand mute, a plea of not guilty will be entered on your behalf. You have the right to proceed to a preliminary examination in this matter, and you have the right to have a preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date. At the time of examination, you have the right to have the prosecution bring sufficient evidence to establish their burden of probable cause. So they have to establish that there's sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and then sufficient probable cause to charge you with the crime. Do you understand your rights as it relates to preliminary examination?
Yes, I do.
Okay, if this matter is to proceed beyond the preliminary examination and get bound over to the circuit court, you then have the right to have a trial. You have the right to have a jury trial. And at the time of trial, you have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecutor bring sufficient evidence then to prove each element of the charge being brought against you. They have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to question any witness that they call. You have the right to call any witnesses on your own behalf or present evidence that you believe would further a defense. And you have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used to prove your guilt. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are you currently on probation or parole?
No.
Okay. For the purposes of arraignment, is she pleading not guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Castillo, you have a probable cause conference via Zoom before Judge Stacia Buchanan on June 3rd, 2022 at 8:30 in the morning. You have a preliminary examination in person at the court before Judge Buchanan on June 10th, 2022 at 8:30 in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notices for that day?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any questions about your rights at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
No, I'm disabled.
What's your home address?
Currently I reside at 430 North Arch Street, Lansing, Michigan, 48912.
Do you have a phone number?
Area code 207-619-2842.
Okay, you can address bond counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. As Ms. Castillo reported, she is on disability and she is staying at the shelter. She reports that she stays between the Rescue Mission and Holy Cross. In my past experience with Ms. Castillo, she has a very good history of appearing in court and not failing to appear. I don't believe that she has otherwise a violent record. So for and she is from the area. She's lived, I've never known her to live anywhere else. So for those reasons, Your Honor, I would be requesting a personal recognizance bond. Thank you.
Okay, I do see one previous conviction for assault or assault and battery out of 65th 65B District Court. That was from 2017. I don't see anything recent. Ms. Castillo, I'm gonna grant you a personal recognizance bond. You need to make sure you appear to court for all of your future court dates. And we don't have a forwarding address for you at this time, so you need to keep up with your court dates, ma'am. Is that gonna be a problem?
No, it will not.
Okay, and you can appear in person for your probable cause conferences if appearing by Zoom is problematic. The court is open, so you can just come in, okay?
Okay,
Bond will be set at $500, personal recognizance. Ma'am, you need to, again, make sure you're at all of your court dates while on bond. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. Do you understand that?
I do.
You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to travel outside of the state. You're not to purchase or possess a firearm or other dangerous weapon, and you need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours, okay?
Okay. Where can I find pretrial services?
That piece
I'm
of
sorry?
paper that you, the half sheet.
Oh, okay. Never mind, the officer just informed me.
Okay, you have the information on how to report to pretrial services?
Mhm.
Do you have any
Yes.
questions, ma'am?
I do not at this time.
Any additional matters for the record?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Adam Abdo-Bassit.
It's the other way around. Yeah, Abdo-Bassit is his first name.
Okay, thank you. Abdo-Bassit Adam. Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Abdo-Bassit Adam. Council appearance, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant who is appearing from Lansing Police Department for the purposes of arraignment only.
Thank you. And you're Mr. Abdo-Bassit Adam. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are you Mr. Abdo-Bassit Adam?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Adams, today is the date set for arraignment. I have a felony complaint here. It alleges that on or about May 22nd, 2022, at the area of East Cesar Chavez and Turner Street, which is in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act and count one of weapons carrying concealed. It alleges that you did carry a dangerous weapon, that being a pistol, whether concealed or otherwise, in a vehicle operated or occupied by said defendant, that being a white Ford Fusion, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.227. That's a felony, sir. The maximum penalty is 5 years imprisonment or $2,500 in fines. And there's a mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device required under MCL 750.239. You understand the charge and the maximum penalty associated with the charge, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to be represented by counsel, and Ms. Donnelly is with you today to represent you for your arraignment only, but you have the right to have an attorney with you to represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution. You also have to have the right to have an attorney with you to represent you if you're questioned or interrogated by law enforcement. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, but you economically qualify, an attorney can be appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, you would be pleading not guilty and requesting court-appointed counsel at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so although you've pled not guilty, I just want to advise you that you do have the right to plead guilty. You have the right to plead not guilty, or you have the right to stand mute. And if you had elected to stand mute, a plea of not guilty would have been entered on your behalf. You are pleading not guilty, so that will be entered on your behalf. You have the right, sir, to proceed to a preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date. At the time of your examination, you have the right to have the prosecution bring sufficient evidence to prove that there's sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and sufficient probable cause to charge you with that crime. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you have the right to proceed to trial in this matter. You have the right to have a jury trial. At the time of trial, sir, you have the right to remain silent and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to question or cross-examine any of the witnesses the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence that you believe would further a defense to the charge. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. And then you also have the right to be considered for pretrial release from custody. Can you spell your first name for me, please?
Abdelbassit.
Okay, thank you. Currently scheduled for probable cause conference before Judge Tony Flores. It's going to be on June 2nd, 2022 at 9:30 in the morning via Zoom. And then you have a preliminary examination in person here at the court that's scheduled for June 10th, 2022 at 9 o'clock in the morning, okay?
Okay.
You have your copy of your notice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you have any questions at this time?
No.
Okay, and I'm not sure if I advise you, but I also want to advise you that you have the right to remain silent, so anything you say can be used against you. Are you currently employed?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you work?
Career management.
What's your home address?
5800 Richwood Street. Apartment 67, zip code is 48911.
Okay, what's the address of Wisconsin? Is that your old address?
Yes, though my parents still live there.
Okay, give me your address again so I can update the file.
5800 Richwood Street. Apartment 67. Lansing, Michigan, zip code 48911.
What's your phone number?
517-512-8960.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any prior criminal history. Criminal convictions. Did you want to address bond?
Thank you, Your Honor. That's what Mr. Adam has reported, that this is his first time in trouble. Him and all his family immigrated here from Africa 10 years ago. As he reported, he currently lives with his older brother, but his parents still live in the area. He is working. He reports he works full-time over 40 hours a week. And that it seems like he's got prospects. He's hoping to go to Great Lakes Community College, or the Christian College, sorry. So for those reasons, and the fact that I did ask him, and he says that there was no allegations of violence or using the weapon, I would request a personal cognizance bond. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Adam, I will grant the request for a personal recognizance bond. Your bond will be set in the amount of 2,000 personal recognizance. You need to make sure you appear at court for all of your future court dates, okay?
Okay,
You need to make sure you appear on time. Your first court date is gonna be via Zoom, but you're welcome to come in person if Zoom doesn't work for you, okay?
okay,
Also, while out on bond, sir, you need to make sure that you don't engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to be in possession of a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. And then you're also gonna need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours. You'll be reporting to them weekly, okay?
okay. So how do I report to them?
That information should have been provided to you. Did you get a packet of information in the jail?
Yes, Your Honor, he
Yes.
did.
Okay, you see it there, sir?
He left
How
it
to
in the cell.
report?
Yes,
Okay. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Adams?
no,
Any additional matters for the record?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're all set, sir. William Frederick Wade. Okay, on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus William Frederick Wade, counsel appearance.
Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant who is appearing from Lansing Police Department for the purposes of arraignment only.
Thank you. You're Mr. William Frederick Wade.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Wade, today's the date set for an arraignment. I have a misdemeanor complaint. It alleges that you, contrary to law, on or about May 21st, 2022, at the area of 1717 Todd Ave, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, did commit the act in count 1 of domestic violence aggravated. It alleges that you did make an assault upon a Tiffany Garcia, an individual with whom you had a dating relationship, without a weapon, and did inflict serious or aggravated injury upon her, but without intending to commit murder or to inflict great bodily harm less than murder. That this was done contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.8182. Restitution is possible as this offense may have resulted in another individual's property being damaged or physical injury or death to another individual. That's a misdemeanor. The maximum penalty is 1 year and or $1,000 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. In the alternative to count 1, you've been charged with count 2 of domestic violence. It alleges that you did make an assault on assault and battery upon Tiffany Garcia, who was an individual with whom you had a dating relationship contrary to MCL 750.812. Again, restitution may be ordered as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to another individual. This is a misdemeanor with the maximum penalty being 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines. And again, a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Do you understand the charges that was just read in the maximum penalty, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Mr. Wade, you have the right to be represented by counsel. Ms. Donnelly is representing you today only for the purpose of your arraignment, but you have the right to have an attorney with you at each stage of the criminal prosecution. And if you're going to be questioned or interrogated, you have the right to have an attorney with you. And if you cannot afford, or if you're indigent, you can request to have attorney represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Wade, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You have the right to plead not guilty, and then you have the right to stand mute. If you stand mute, we'll enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf and we'll proceed with the criminal prosecution. You have the right to have a preliminary examination as to count one within 21 days of today's date. At the time of that examination, sir, you have the right to have the prosecution meet their burden of probable cause. So they have to bring sufficient evidence to establish that there's enough probable cause to charge you with, that a crime was committed, and enough probable cause to charge you with the crime. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to proceed to trial in this matter. At the time of trial, you have the right to remain silent and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right at trial to have the prosecution then meet their burden of proving each element of the charges being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to question any witness that they call, and you have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence you believe would further a defense to the charge. Do you have any questions about those rights, sir?
No, ma'am.
You have the right to be considered for pretrial release from custody. Will address bond in just a moment. Are you currently on probation or parole, sir?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
Yes, ma'am. I work for Fieldworks, work for the campaign. I actually supposed to clock in 2 hours ago.
Okay. What's your home address?
5712 Orchard Court, ma'am. Amber Barnes, she's my spouse.
Okay, thank you. And what's
Yep.
your telephone number?
248-467-1065, ma'am.
Okay, so as of right now, you're currently scheduled to have a probable cause conference via Zoom before Judge Tony Flores on June 2nd, 2022 at 9 o'clock in the morning. You have a preliminary examination, which is going to be in person on June 10th, 2022 at 9 o'clock in the morning, also before Judge Flores. I say you're currently scheduled before him at this time because you are going to be listed as a co-defendant with Ms. Amber Rose Barnes. It's possible that one of your matters will be switched to a different judge so that you go before the same judge, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about that?
Pertaining to that, no, ma'am.
Okay.
Your Honor, I do have a question. He was being charged with aggravated domestic violence, which is a 1-year offense. So I'm wondering why this is set for probable cause conference and Amber's as well.
I'm not sure why it kicked that out. I think maybe because it's considered a high court misdemeanor, but it doesn't say that. I'm
It's not,
sure.
it's just a 1-year misdemeanor. I don't know. Yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up or ask.
Yeah, I wondered that myself. I'm not sure why I kicked it out as if it's a 1-year misdemeanor, but I'm sure that'll get sorted out after today's date. If it needs to be switched to a pretrial docket for a misdemeanor, then Mr. Wade and then Ms. Barnes will get a new date. Okay, you can address bond counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Wade, as he reported, he works for the Political Action Group Fieldworks. He says that he does that job basically 7 days a week right now. As he said, he was supposed to be at work today. And he's been doing that job since about the end of March or April. He is from Lansing. He has family here. He also takes care of an aunt on Kavanaugh. He, as well as sharing a residence and the children in the home with Ms. Barnes. He also has his own 12-year-old daughter that he has 11-year-old daughter that he shares parenting time with. He's not so sure about his criminal history. He just knows the last time he was in trouble, he did successfully complete probation, a felony probation for animal neglect and abuse. So for those reasons, Your Honor, and the fact that he does not live with the complaining witness and can maintain a no contact, I would request a personal recognizance bond. Thank you.
Mr. Wade, have you missed court in the past?
What'd you say, ma'am?
Have you missed your court dates in the past?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll grant the request for personal recognizance bond with a no contact order. Bond will be set in the amount of $500 personal recognizance. You need to appear back at court for all of your future court dates, okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
As indicated before, there may be some changes going on with your court date. Right now, it's got you scheduled for probable cause conference. Both myself and Ms. Donnelly question that that may get switched to another date and time. If so, your new dates will be mailed to this address that you have. You also should be getting court-appointed counsel, and they'll be able to provide you with any updated information, including if your case is switched to another judge. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
While out on bond, there's a no contact order. You're not to have any communication of any kind, directly or indirectly, with Tiffany Garcia. No text messages, no DMs. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever she lives, wherever she works, or wherever she goes to school. Do you have any questions about the no contact order?
No, ma'am.
You're not to purchase or possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon while on bond. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. Do you have any questions about those conditions?
No, ma'am.
additional matters for the record?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're all set, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Your Honor,
Yes,
was there a dollar amount with that PR bond?
$500 personal recognizance.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. Albert Kemper. Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Albert Joseph Kemper, file number 22-01164 FY, council appearance.
Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant, Mr. Kemper, who is appearing from Lansing Police Department for the purpose of arraignment only.
Okay, are you Mr. Albert Joseph Kemper?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Kemper, today's the date for an arraignment for a alleged bond violation, also known as a PA 53. I have here a complaint of violation of conditional release, and it alleges that you violated the terms of your bond as set by Magistrate Milmore by using alcohol allegedly, or also by allegedly having contact directly or indirect with a Mabel Railer on or about May 21st, 2022 at 1830 hours. So you have the right to have a contested hearing as it relates to the allegation of violating the terms and conditions of your bond. If you're found to be guilty of violating your bond, you could be subject to a contempt of court, which is punishable with the maximum penalty of 93 days in jail or up to $7,500 in fines. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You also could be subject to your bond of being revoked pending the underlying matter. Does he have court-appointed counsel on the other underlying matter?
Yes, Your Honor, he does.
Okay, so you have the right to be represented at any contested hearing, and you are represented on the underlying matter. I don't have a date for a hearing. I'm assuming he's pleading not guilty at this time. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, your bond violation hearing will be set and a new date will be mailed to you for that. Okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So it appears that you were arraigned by Magistrate Milmore on or about May 3rd or May 5th, 2023. I'm going to remind you of the conditions. One of them is you're not to use, purchase, or possess any alcohol, marijuana, or illegal controlled substance unless you have a valid prescription. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You're not to have any contact, directly or indirectly. You're not to harass, intimidate, beat, molest, wound, threaten, assault, or frighten Mabel Railer. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand what indirect or direct contact means?
Yes.
Okay. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever Mabel Railer lives, works, or goes to school. Do you have any questions about what that means?
No.
Okay, you can address bond counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Kemper is on a disability. He's not currently working. He is staying with the complaining witness's sister. He currently has quite a few animals in the house. It's my understanding that Mr. Kemper was trying to take care of his bird and dog that were still at the residence, but I've told him that, reminding him, he's gonna have to find other arrangements for that. But it's my understanding that he's been in good communication with our office, and that he has a preliminary exam set for Thursday. So for those reasons, Your Honor, I would be requesting either a personal recognizance or a reasonable 10%. Thank you.
Okay, even the allegations in the police report indicate that Mr. Rayler was cooperative. I recognize that he has some animals that are likely at this residence that he's not supposed to be at. I don't see where the residence was listed on the no contact, but I am going to put it on this one. Sir, you're not to be at the address of 4711 Stafford Avenue. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I recognize that you got some animals. You're gonna have to make some other arrangements for the animals because under no circumstances are you to be within 1,500 feet of wherever Ms. Rayler is living. So you don't get to find a reason to go around that, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you need to also make sure you continue to report to all your future court dates. I'm gonna issue a bond in the amount of $500 personal recognizance. You'll find out your hearing date for the bond violation via mail or from your attorney, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. You're all set, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Noah Johnston.
Hello, Your Honor. How are you doing?
We're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Noah Johnston, file number 21-01456. SM, council appearance.
Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant who's appearing from Lansing Police Department for the purposes of arraignment only.
Okay, are you Noah Michael Johnston?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Today was the date set for an arraignment on a probation violation bench warrant. Looks like you were arraigned on the actual violation on March 18, 2022. You entered a plea of not guilty at that time. It was set for hearing on March 31st, 2022 at 9:30 before Judge Stacia Buchanan. However, you failed to appear. What
Yes, Your Honor.
happened, sir?
Can I? Yes, Your Honor. I was in an emergency situation. It was approximately around 7:30 that morning that I was jumped. I was taken to McLaren Hospital. They x-rayed me. I had a fractured jaw and concussion. I do have papers showing this. They're just at my house, Your Honor. I can show my PO and whoever else I need to provide those with. I do apologize, Your Honor. It's my first time missing a court hearing.
Okay, I did review the file and I didn't see where you had missed court before. Have you been reporting to probation?
No,
Since
Your
this
Honor. No, Your Honor, I haven't because I wasn't aware that my PO had changed. I had Ryan Pulowski, but I was not familiar with that I had POs changed. I was never reached out to by Mr. Pulowski nor my new PO.
I don't believe Mr. Pulaski was your probation officer for some time. Looks like
Yes, Your Honor.
violation was issued by Stephanie Kendall. Did you ever meet or report to Stephanie Kendall?
Your Honor, I never met with her, but actually I did, Your Honor. I did meet with her through phone via Zoom. That's the only way I
Sounds
was
good.
contacted through her.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm not sure who your probation officer is at this point. But I'm gonna advise you to contact the probation office by tomorrow to find out who you should be reporting to, okay?
Yes, Your Honor, I will.
You need to report to them in person tomorrow, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll grant the request for personal recognizance bond on this. I think you previously had a bond in the amount of 1,000 personal recognizance. I'll reissue the same bond, 1,000 personal recognizance. This matter will be set for hearing on the probation violation, and that will be provided to you via mail. What's your address?
2146 Georgetown, apartment 3. I do have 2 addresses, Your Honor, if you would like the second one.
2146 Georgetown, apartment what?
Apartment 3, Your Honor.
Okay, that's in Lansing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is that where you physically lay your head at night
Yes, ma'am, it is.
and you receive mail there?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Okay. Then what's the other address you want to give me?
I want to say it's 12700 Colby Lake Road, Lot 83, Lanesburg, Michigan.
Okay, I think that's the address that we had on the file already. Is
Oh,
that
I'm sorry,
the
Your
address
Honor.
that's with your girlfriend and her mom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, you're all set, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
You're welcome. That's all I have.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have a good one.